Oh,
How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. It's nice to finally meet you.
Yes, same. And how do you pronounce your first name?
Sadie.
Okay, that's what I was guessing. But
Yeah,
it's a good name. Well, how are you doing today, Sadie?
pretty good. Pretty good. It's been a good morning. And yeah, we're just doing stuff around deliveries and like organizing everything here in the warehouse. But yeah, pretty smooth day. So that's good. How
Good.
about
Good to
you?
hear. Going okay. It's kind of just another Monday here, and yeah, there's not too much to report on my end, just a somewhat slow day, and so I'm kind of soaking it all up as much as I can. But yeah.
Good.
Well, why don't you start by kind of just taking us back to how Kafiex began it? Also, or began, is it Kafiex or is it, okay, it is. Awesome.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Like a lot of people ask us all the time, like, how do you pronounce the name? You
Yeah.
know, some people put in there like an L for some reason, Kaflex. And so we hear it all. It's okay. But yeah, Kafiex. Kafi means coffee in Swahili.
Yeah.
And we added the X just to make it sound kind of like futuristic back in the day. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I love it. Well, I had read online that you and Matthew really enjoyed traveling, and this was maybe not meant to be your full-time gig, so to speak.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, Matt, even coffee came that way to us, you know, like we started traveling a lot. Like we both, you know, even before we met, we have traveled a lot around the world. And once we got together, we started traveling even more. And so many of the countries that we were visiting, they were, you know, growing countries, like coffee growing countries. And like we visited Jamaica, and we ended up going to the Blue Mountains, right? Matthew ended up bringing even like some green coffee, like he was roasting the stove, you know, as a hobby and stuff. And then we kept doing that, like just kind of like going to different countries and even visiting coffee farms. And yeah, it's almost like I always like to say that coffee has the power of like kind of like bringing you in if it wants you in the industry. I've heard so many stories, even producers that they weren't meant to be producers, you know, and they end up taking the farms and they make it their full-time job, which is just awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, that's yeah, I wish I had definitely gone to coffee farmers before I got into coffee, but that had eluded me. But yeah, so you ended up deciding to, you know, do some coffee. And if my memory serves me right, didn't you start at a farmer's market or something of this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we started as a farmers market. We both were, you know, having to do like our full-time jobs, and then coffee truly began as a hobby in that aspect. We were doing some of the local Vancouver farmers markets, a couple of the Portland ones, and you know, kind of like jiggling between like doing your jobs. Matthew was roasting in between all of that just to have, you know, bags and product to sell at the farmers market. And after doing a full season of that, we were like, you know, coffee's kind of like making us happier than, you know, full-time jobs and everything else. And we decided that it was time to, you know, put all of the energy into it. And we started looking, we thought a lot about like, do we want to just do wholesale and then kind of grow organically just behind the scenes? Do we want to have a brick and mortar and kind of like combine it all? And you know, through farmers markets, a lot of people ask you like, where is your space, or like, are you going to have a space, and all of that kind of like starts, you know, creating ideas in your head. And like, do we want a space? And we were looking for a space that it was still close to the market, you know, since our beginnings were there, and like so many of the people that we knew and the community was already there. So after two fail spaces, you know, because it never goes perfect, right? Like you think that you have found the right place, and for some reason doesn't go the way you want it to be.
Hmm.
We found what it is today. You know, our first brick and mortar, which I think is it was just meant to be, and it was perfect, and it's literally on the corner of the farmers market. So then every Saturday and Sunday we become, kind of like the heart of it. We still get to see so many of the vendors that we've been working with, and we're part of that whole entire market in our beginning. So it's really cool. And yeah, we decided that opening a brick and mortar, we were gonna be able to share, what we love about coffee with people, with community. During our travels, we have come across a lot of like different brewing methods, specifically like siphons, for example. We were in Mexico one time visiting a coffee farm in Chiapas. This is before we had the shop. And the way they were, it was like so cool. They had like a restaurant, a hotel, everything within the farm. And when you order coffee, the way they were making coffee was on a siphon, like on your table. So we always said like, oh, when we have a shop, one day we're gonna do it that way.
Hmm.
So the siphon came that way. We wanted to bring different methods for to create moments for people. Allows you to kind of like slow down and create that. So then that's how our first brick and mortar came to life.
Wow. And at what point did you all say, like, did you kind of, as that brick and mortar evolved, did you start roasting kind of quickly after that, or did it take some time?
For ourselves, so Matthew was roasting already. So Matthew was
Oh.
roasting 2 kilo at a time. He started with a small son of Fresco. His mom had a coffee shop, and he was roasting for her, just for that coffee shop. And then when we opened the shop, so we would work the shop shifts, and we will close the doors, and then he would start roasting for the shop 2 kilo at a time. Yeah. It was, those weeks that you put like 100+ hours in and you make it work, how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then during that time, so when we were opening the shop, we knew we wanted to work with Dietrich. So we had placed an order for an IR12. That's what we have right now.
Mhm.
But then definitely the first months, the roaster wasn't with us yet. So then when we opened the shop, we were roasting. He was roasting 2 kilos at a time. Yeah.
Oh man. And why did you all come to a point where you were like, you know what we want is the Diedrich specifically?
Yeah, that one came because they were local. They are very close to Idaho, like well, to us, they are in Idaho. So it was easy. We've heard back in the day past stories of like, well, if you're working with someone that is so far away, like Europe and stuff, like, you might not have like such big support. So then just that was one of the points that made us go with them, being very close. You can drive. Matthew took a class with them. Like he drove all the way to Idaho, spent a whole week in there.
Hmm.
And then that was, 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago, like the roaster came to us 2018 around Thanksgiving
Nice.
time. So yeah, it was what we like our thoughts were on. And yeah.
I love to hear it. Are you still rocking on the 12?
Yeah, that's where we roast on. Yeah,
All right.
so she's still here. It has a different home. We don't roast. We used to roast at our first location. So last year, end of the year, we moved in, and now we have a roastery. So then we have like our warehouse, the roastery office, and all of that. And but yeah, the RO12 is still the centerpiece of it.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you're one of a decent amount of roasters that we work with who still roast on the Diedrich and
Yep.
kill it. They just such a there's no problems with it, and so it's kind of
Mhm.
nice to have coffee roasted on it and it's just as good as, Loring's or whatever the sort, like
Mhm.
it holds up just fine. So it makes me very happy anytime we get a Diedrich, personally speaking. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, well, we used five different coffees, if I remember correctly. Yes, I think five coffees from you guys.
uh-huh.
I'd kind of love to hear how you guys ended up carrying each coffee, and in no particular order. Um, but yeah, we had the El Diviso that you. I was not planning on getting that, and you were like, "You gotta get it."
That was really good. Yeah, that was everyone's in the team like a big favorite. Matthew drank a ton of it, And yeah, like just working with Nestor. I got to meet them for the first time in Colombia a couple years ago when I was looking for a competition coffee, and I didn't work with them back then for competition, but this season I did, and just getting to know them a little bit more, and they're just like such great people. They do fantastic job with their coffees, and just not just because they are well known worldwide. It's just simply they're very humble. They do great job with their coffee. And when we cupped them before we chose them, that was one that stood up like really really big, and we kept thinking about it. So that was one of the first coffees that we worked with Nestor. So yeah, I'm so glad that you liked it as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I think the other one that was like a little bit nicer was the Las Flores Pink Bourbon, if I remember correctly, which was
Johan,
phenomenal.
yes. Yeah. At some point, we joked that we had so many coffees from Johan, from Las Flores, that it was almost like our whole entire lineup was Johan Vergara's farm. Like come and taste everything that Johan produces.
Yep.
But it just kind of the same way, like just tasting them and like still thinking about those coffees. It was awesome. We got to be with them, with Johan in San Diego at World Coffee.
Yeah.
And he was so excited to see all his coffees and then just grabbing them and taking them. And then Matthew and him, they were working on like setting up like a cupping together. So it's really cool. It's really cool when you get to work, with the producers directly like that, and then just getting to know them, and then
Mhm.
making sure they are also tasting, what you're doing with their product. It's
Mhm.
been great. Right now we have a new one from him, and are waiting for a couple more of his as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, his coffee's so good. I think last year was my first time that I got to try his decaf.
Okay.
And yeah, just I think it's my favorite decaf I've ever had. If I remember correctly, it would just blew me away, very much so. Yeah, I remember when we got the samples from y'all and we
Hmm.
cupped it, that washed pink bourbon from Las Flores was one of our staff's favorite.
Cool.
That's ingrained in my mind
One
as
of those
being,
coffees that yeah, it was the same way for Matthew when he copped it. They brought it to the shops, and then we did like a public cupping, and then I remember like Matthew telling me, it's like I just can't stop thinking about it. It just tastes like Fruit Loops, and I need that coffee. And yeah, yeah,
that was pretty gosh darn tasty. Yeah, I
good.
I do miss it. This is true. But yeah, and then we also had the Costa Rica San Diego.
Okay, cool.
And I'm trying to remember. I think that is one that I may not have actually got. I don't think I was able to taste it actually, if I remember correctly. But yeah, how did you find that coffee? What did you think of it? All the above.
Yeah. So when we are selecting our coffees, just like we work with producers like Johan and Nestor, that they are cataloged for us in our reserve section. So we decided to break kind of like our brand in three different categories, like what is traditional, that there will be coffees that are like more crowd pleasers, comfortable tasting notes,
Yeah.
and then we carry those year round. We try to just keep them always with us. And then we have a modern category that the Costa Rica fall into it. So that will be for us like something that is your introduction to something different. I feel like we all have, at least when we're starting on a specialty, we have associated, that coffee taste is just one way. And all of our modern coffees meant to kind of like spark that interest in people, like, okay, maybe coffee can taste a little bit fruity, but it doesn't have to be as intense as a reserve, like anything from Nestor or Johan. So
Yeah.
then that's how this honey Costa Rica came to us. We were featuring actually that coffee on Siphon at both of our locations. So then I prefer featuring always like natural or honey process coffees on a siphon brew. I feel like there's something about the brew method that kind of like highlights like the sweetness and the fruit in the coffees. So then, whenever we're kind of like working on the menu that is going to be served at the shops for anything on the slow bar, we tend to gravitate to anything like natural or honey to feature on siphon, and that's how this Costa Rica came for us. Yeah,
Wonderful. I
yeah.
also loved that y'all, I think in the bio, if I remember correctly, in the bio of that coffee had explained that like honeys came from Costa Rica. And so I was just like, having known that, I love to like kind of tell that story of like, coming from yeah, Las Lajas, all the above. And so that was really fun. And I was generally very bummed that I didn't get to taste it. The only reason I didn't get to was, funny enough, we had like one or two last minute people. We had one or two last minute people like join the subscription. And
Hmm.
usually I have like one bag of each coffee for me to like just QC and like write my brewing
Yeah,
recommendations for people because there's a few people that like that. But because another couple of people last minute joined in, I had like just enough for everyone and none for me to
not for you.
QC. So I think that was the only coffee. I don't remember if I think I got to try, yeah, I got to try the ahi. So that was the only coffee that I didn't get to
That you didn't
try.
get to try.
So I was a
That's
little
funny.
bit bummed. Yeah.
How do you start the subscription? How do you start it?
How did I start the subscription? Oh,
Yeah,
that's a wow. You're the only person who's ever asked me that question ever.
really.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. We started, so it's been going for, I think, 2.5 years now, if I'm correct. I think it'll
Cool.
be 3 years in December.
Okay.
I started it because when I got into coffee when I was in college, which this is probably 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years. How? Yeah, yes, 10 years ago. When I got into, coffee as a college student, I joined Trade Coffee. Yeah. And as a rotating subscription, and it's one of those where it's like you put in your preferences on light roast or fruity.
Hmm.
And it was great for a couple months, but
Yeah.
then later they started just sending me like dark roast, which is still good coffee,
Mhm.
but it just like wasn't what I was looking for.
Yeah,
And
not following
so
your preferences. Yeah.
yeah, and so I
Oh,
got to a point where I kind of was like, oh, like I'm kind of bummed by the subscription. I feel like the quality's been a little everywhere, and it's just not listening to my preferences, which is not the end of the world. So when we started the subscription, the goal was literally just to be like a very, very good subscription that like the quality is just always maintained at the same place, and
mhm.
it gives us a chance to feature roasters from around the world. And so, yeah, I mean, that's basically how it started because I just wanted to work with more roasters, and
Yeah.
this was like a small way to do that, even if it wasn't a large way to do it. But like through this, we've, garnered such really good relationships from roasters that I wouldn't have thought we would. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's been really fun. Each year is, we usually have at least half of the roasters that we worked with the previous year returning. And then we
Cool.
always have like usually between 4 to 6 new roasters each year. And
Cool.
so that's how we kind of started it.
It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. And then you do it once a month, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're in August. Yeah. So in August, we just released our August subscription, which
Cool.
was our first time roaster working with a roastery in Malaysia.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, it's called One Half, good coffee, all the above. But yeah, sorry, I'm just so surprised that you would ask that. Speaking of which, do you guys have your own subscription?
Yeah, we do. We launched our very first subscription during pandemic times
Hey,
because we had to close the shop and we had one at a time,
wow.
and it was like closing for a few months, right? Like operating pandemic and like all of that time. It was like, yeah, year one of our first shop. So then it was when we decided to do something local and kind of like get to keep moving product while the shops were closed. We just redid our website a couple of weeks ago and launched it with
Wow.
a whole goal of start creating more of the subscription platform, and then that people can get the coffee delivered. every month. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Actually, funny enough, I haven't really checked out your website probably in a
Oh,
few weeks, so I'm gonna check it
there you go. Thank you.
out.
Yeah. Yeah, we even did like a whole new portal for like wholesale people. Thank
Hey,
you to
let's
make it
go.
easy to place any orders and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, wow. This is actually genuinely exciting for me because
Yeah.
I'm so excited, honestly, now that I know about this.
Cool. Well, let me know if you have any questions on it. And yeah.
I will, 100%. I'll actually most likely. So, real quick, this is kind of an
Mhm.
aside relationship just for
You're
you
fine.
and I, for people watching. But I basically when I like reevaluate like relationships and how we can like work like realistically work with people moving forward. I do that in
Yeah.
the fall. So like this is kind of
Cool.
the time where I'm starting to be like looking at next year and just like what can we do?
Awesome.
Who can we fit in? What it looks like. So I will probably be getting back to you within 1 or 2 weeks and just like letting you
Perfect.
know what it looks like.
Yay.
Boy. And this
Awesome.
is exciting because I get to finally check out your website amongst
Yes,
other
and
things.
then yeah, happy to answer any questions and stuff like that. And yeah, we'd love to work with you again.
I love it. Same. Oh my gosh, 100%. Well, the last two coffees, the Ethiopia Danby
Hmm.
Udo, that is something I did get to try in the samples. And it
Cool.
was like really, really good for, well, I mean, obviously all the coffees are good from Ethiopia, but for me, it was an extra special Ethiopia. So how did you find it?
Ethiopia's are really hard, honestly. So we are always looking for, I feel like we live the whole entire year looking for good Ethiopias, and which is fun, you get to try so many around. And we actually just last week we were copying more Ethiopias, and we have a new one that is going to be coming soon. I feel like Ethiopias, they just sell by themselves, right? Like people just think on Ethiopia as a good, obviously the motherland and a good region. And even like people who are starting in a specialty or just like customers who like a little bit of fruitiness in there, they can associate to like if it's Ethiopia, it's gonna have a little bit of that, if not a lot of it. And they're just great sellers. So then we always try to have a good Ethiopian hand that we can carry year round. One of our staple blends, which is the Vancouver blend, is 50% Ethiopia. So then having a good Ethiopia is always important to us.
Yeah. Well, it was absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, I
Thank you.
remember tasting it not only on the cupping table, but I think there was like enough left for us to do like a small brew. And it was just like,
Mhm.
team go team. Because I mean, there's like so many Ethiopias and
Yep.
especially as a multi-roaster, we get a lot. But that was a fun one that like very quickly I just remember at least myself and I think the other GM, we were just like, this is just like really good. I'm just happy with it. So
Yeah.
you killed
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, the new one that is coming is really good too. So I'm excited
Heck
for
yeah.
the new Ethiopia to arrive. I think it arrives this week, I believe.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down. New Ethiopia.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm dying. And lastly, the decaf from Mexico, from Chiapas that we got. Yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's been one of my favorite decafs as well. And we always do Sweetwater process, so we're always looking for anything decaf, Sweetwater process. For the longest time, we were working with a Peru from Café Femenino, and then this relationship with Mexico through San Cristobal came. So that's how we got Mexico. I'm from Mexico, so I'm always going to be a big cheerleader for any Mexican coffees. And so I was really happy that we were able to have a Mexico from Swiss Water Process. Really comfortable, like chocolate notes. Really, really nice decaf as well. Yeah, I agree with you.
Love it. And why specifically do you always look for a Swiss water?
Because of the process without any chemicals as a way of decaffeinating coffee. And we do have a great relationship with Swiss Water. Matthew has gotten to visit the facilities, and honestly, since Kafiex existed, so almost 8 years ago, or just even for the farmers market, so I would say 8 years ago, we have always been doing Swiss water process.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Actually, can you also explain a little bit of just like
In
how
a short, yeah. So basically, they use water to clean and extract the molecules and to separate them. So many of the other methods use chemicals to separate it, and Swiss water process is basically the only one that would not use any some sort of anything extra to do it. So then we're big believers in how they do everything naturally.
Yeah, it is it that they like put the coffee green in like very warm water and it acts as like a natural solvent or something of the sort?
Yeah, they have what's it called? Matthew calls them it's like big towers to do kind of like the separation of them, almost
Okay.
like a vacuum kind of thing.
Okay. Wow.
Hmm.
I've only ever read about it, but yeah,
Hmm.
I'm not particularly super familiar with it.
Yeah.
So, man, I love to hear it. Well, in terms of competing, both you and Matthew have done quite your fair share. Like, so how did both of you decide to compete? And yeah, what has that entire journey kind of looked like for both of you?
Yeah. For Matthew, funny or not, I remember like we saw they were opening like qualifiers at that time for roasting, and I was like, I think I'm gonna sign you up. I think that you should do it. And I just think that he's a great roaster. He has, self-taught himself a lot, and then obviously learned from other people. But I always seen him like as a great roaster. And I was like, I'm signing you up. And yeah, he flew to do his first qualifier, and he got a spot on the nationals. So then I was like, you see, like you need to keep doing this. And then after that, I think that the relationship that he developed with all of the other roaster competitors and stuff kept making him go back to it.
Yeah.
I've been part of the roasting competition through him, and honestly, the relationship that all of the roasters get to create, and then just being able to be together and like how much they share with each other and how much they care. I always tell them they're like my favorite competition, like my favorite group of competition, out of all of the six. They are like they're truly my favorites. So it's just even fun to, get to hang out with them when it's roasting time for competition. And then myself, there was in 2019, towards the end, the Lanos here in Washington State, they were hosting qualifiers, and they were looking for volunteers. And it was like a year into the shops, and I decided to take the train and then go volunteer for a day. So I was bossing for all of the baristas that day. And then I remember seeing, like how elaborated it is, even just at the qualifier level, that baristas are carrying all of their equipment and menus and like choosing a bean to, do a 10-minute routine to talk about the coffee that they are serving. I remember that it was so like impactful to see them, and it caught my attention that there was no one serving anything from Mexico at a time. There were a lot of coffees from Ethiopia, Colombia. I remember like the most different one I saw at that time, it was a coffee from Ecuador, but no one a coffee from Mexico. So I remember like I came back and I told Matthews like I want to do it one day, and if I do, I obviously want to do it with a coffee from Mexico. And yeah, that's how it started. Like just kind of like with the desires of showcasing Mexican coffee, uh, my roots, I guess, and for others to see, that as well. And then I fall in love with it throughout the process. I feel like it becomes addictive, and and then I'm still competing. Yeah.
Love to hear that. And I assume that you had volunteered for the barista
Yep.
qualifiers. Yep.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
And were you like pretty like set from then on out on just competing in barista?
Yeah, I remember that just seeing them, it was just like I can't see myself doing anything else. Some people have asked me like, would you do Brewer's Cup or like Coffee and Good Spirits or something else? And I'm like, I love the part of the barista, like the whole creation of like a 15-minute set for judges and like a whole entire theme around it. I always say it's like putting a Michelin star chef service and for some judges. So yeah,
Hmm.
so I don't think I consider myself doing something else.
That's, in my personal opinion, remarkably impressive. I can only imagine doing like a signature drink and like that's just yeah, beyond me. So anytime, yeah, I meet someone who's done it, it's just like I don't know how you do it, but remarkable. Yeah. Uh,
Thank you.
Yeah. And through competing, what have you or Matthew like, it sounds like you've enjoyed it quite a bit.
Mhm.
But what do you feel like has brought you back to do it each time?
I think that definitely the people and the relationships that we have created. I always say, some of the people that I care for the most in the industry have come to my life through competition for sure. So then, just looking forward to be working with them again and to be living the same idea is what keeps me coming back. I have gotten to know a lot of producers through that as well, and not just like in the surface level, but more like in the deeper level, like truly understanding what is happening at the farm and why do they believe in what it's happening or why they are doing what they are doing, which has been kind of like one of my big rules. Like I hate to just kind of select a coffee through a catalog and not getting to know it. So yeah, and personally I've learned a lot. It allows me to kind of like do research in themes that maybe I would not be doing if I wasn't competing. Just kind of like branch out on different topics. So I've learned a lot through competition for sure.
Yeah, I love to hear it. Well, kind of going back to how you guys brew, I'm a
Mhm.
little interested in a couple of things. The first thing is, you mentioned you kind of found a siphon, at a cafe in Mexico or something of the sort, and now you're doing it
Yeah.
yourself. Um, what? Why? Like, no one does siphons.
That's why.
There you go.
I think that they are like such a cool method that no one features and is one of the oldest. Yes, it's more hands-on, but at the end also allows you to have a conversation with the person.
Yeah,
And I think that it sparks people's interest and truly allows you to have that connection for at least a couple seconds, couple of minutes, and talk a little bit more about the coffee, about the brew method. I don't know, kind of go back to like the hospitality part of, doing things rather than it's just grab and go. And we don't even get to cross words or like get to know about each other. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I
yeah.
think that's very cool. I've only been to one cafe years ago that
Mhm.
had a siphon, and I was just like a little flabbergasted by it. It was neat to see in person.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Like normally one person gets it and the next person is like, "Oh, I want to do that thing too," or just sparks conversation around the shop for sure.
Yeah. And then in terms of filter brewing, whether it's pour over or drip as well as espresso, how do you guys prefer to brew your coffees?
Personally or the shops? What do you?
Honestly, personally, I'd love to hear just how yeah.
Personally, I will always take espresso. So I normally I'm espresso drinker. So if I go into a shop, I would normally do like an espresso or even a cortado. here at the roastery, we do a lot of like filter coffee, so a lot of pour overs, which is just a fun way to just play around with them and like dial different coffees that we might have. If I'm at the shops, I drink a lot of espresso as well, and pour overs. Yeah, I hardly ever drink do milk or any flavors.
Okay, wow. And then for espresso at the
Mhm.
cafes, do you have like one to three like night like featured espressos or like what does that look like?
At the shops, we normally do espresso blends, and we have one shop features our Three Amigos espresso blend, and the other shop features our Kundalini. Yeah, back in the day, we used to do single origins sometimes from time to time, and then we have thought about the idea of maybe featuring single origin, something more fruity.
Yeah.
During competition time, I do get to play a lot with the coffees, obviously, that I am serving. And they're normally like single origins, very like fruit forward, different processes of fermentation and stuff. So I do enjoy a lot of those kind of espresso coffees.
Yeah. Yeah. At both cafes here, we always have two like featured espressos and
Okay,
one is usually like more chill, more just like a fun one. Like right now at the cafe, we've got like a Uganda that's like it's
nice.
good. It's a
Cool.
just a good one, just a little different. And then right now, I think the other cafe has a Nestor Lasso, the omelette
Nice.
one, and it's
Oh,
just like
fun.
super fun. So it's fun to have just like different coffees just for people to just try differently, even if it's not their favorite. But yeah, so.
Do people do the obligon, for example, with like syrups and milk?
Usually no.
Okay,
Usually it's either like by itself
cool.
or in like a macchiato or cortado or cappuccino.
Nice. Okay.
Sometimes probably like one out of every like 15 people will get it in a latte and
Okay.
we'll be like just so you know like it'll be a little bit less easy to taste and they're like that's fine. I know it's going to be good nonetheless. And it's like okay. Sure.
Cool.
But anyway.
Awesome.
And so looking forward to just next year, 2027, what does it look like for Kafiex and for you and Matthew as, kind of coming to the end of the year, or are there things in the future that you guys are really excited about or not particularly?
Um, that's a great question, especially because thinking about the end of the year already, which is August, is crazy. I don't know. I think that we keep working towards growing Kafiex wholesale wise, subscriptions and stuff. Um, Through a lot of education. I've been an educator for Coffee Fest and SCA and different other events like Level Up or Women Coffee Power Summit for a year now. So then I think that I see myself doing that as well. I really enjoy teaching. Um, I know that there's so many more classes and home brewing stuff that we want to create for the shops, just even locally.
Yeah.
And then again, just keep offering that education and coffee program to other wholesale partners nationwide. I think that's one of our big goals.
That's huge. Yeah, right now we're trying to do some more education, but we've been very slow to grow it. But we've had like a seed to cup class, and now we're splitting that into two classes, adding
Oh,
a pour over class, and we
nice.
just started. Like I don't know how it is in Vancouver area or Washington as a whole, but in St. Louis, if you want to learn classes from surrounding cafes, usually start at like I maybe 50, but usually 75 or $100,
Okay.
which, depending on the class and whatnot, like is worth it or not. But sometimes it's just a lot and it's a lot of money for sometimes okay classes. And so we've really been trying to do not only a good job, but we just started doing a free monthly education events.
Cool.
Yeah, and so fingers crossed they go well.
Yeah.
We'll see. but yeah, it's just like we just want people to just know more. So if we can just do even this very small thing, but yeah, we're looking forward to that. We just did our first one last month, which was pleasant, very easy. We just opened with a cupping of
Okay,
like one
nice.
of our roasters' entire lineup because they sent us all their coffee for that just for fun, and it was like this is
Cool.
18 coffees, and it's a lot. So it was like it was a good time. It was a good
Was it
time.
a good turnaround? Yeah,
No,
turnout.
very small,
Okay.
very small people, or a few amount of people came out, but nonetheless, a few people showed up. But we literally like just started it, and very much didn't do a great job promoting it. So fingers crossed, this next like couple ones will be a little bit like okay, like hopefully we'll get more and more people out.
Like
But
what we say, it's like a marathon race, you know?
yeah, very much so, very much so.
Yeah.
So working in the industry now for a very long time, as you have. What is one thing right now that you're very excited about that maybe is growing or has been like just discovered or something of the sort?
Industry wise,
Hmm.
um, I think I'm excited about like all of the new processes that producers are doing, you know. For me, even like 8 years ago, it was talking about, you know, just a natural coffee. So now talking about people designing the coffees and going towards more of like the wine industry. I think that excites me. And maybe with all of that, having the public to see it more like that industry as well, you know, where people are okay with paying uh, X amount of dollars for a cup of coffee rather than not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount. It is insane to see all these incredible processes like coming to the forefront, and it's been fun seeing producers have a fun time and
Yeah, yeah, I love it. How
Yeah.
about you? What are you excited about?
Ooh, what am I excited about? Um I enjoy I enjoy so much, honestly. I think one thing that I'm excited, well, I'm excited about so many things, but I'll say one of my favorite, or my favorite type of coffee, all comes from Yemen. I like
Okay.
Yemeni's coffee very much
Hmm.
so. And last year, it was the first time we ever got to serve a Saudi Arabian coffee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is really tasty. And we haven't seen it since, and but recently I chatted with Lori, who's one of the I think like marketers or whatever, the sort of Cup of Excellence or ACE, and she was letting us know that like they're kind of in talks of trying to get Saudi Arabia a Cup of Excellence, so to speak. And she's like, there's a lot of
Wow.
cool things kind of happening behind the scenes that we're working with some producers there and stuff. And it's like, oh wow, so I think things happening in Yemen and Saudi, I'm really excited about, personally speaking.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to be looking for something like that.
what?
I'm gonna have to be looking for something like that. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I like obviously Ethiopia is like the birthplace of coffee, but for me,
Yeah.
like knowing the first coffee farms in Yemen, like we're all there, like to me is like unbelievably special. And fun side note, but I smoke cigars. Not
Hmm.
very often, but because of that, I enjoy the Yemeni like those baking spices and like dark chocolate, and so it's just different. And I feel like it's distinct enough that it's not just like I don't know, just like just a chocolate coffee. It's just a little bit extra. So
Cool.
I'm always excited when we get to try coffee from Yemen or Saudi Arabia. And so I think the things that are happening there are I'm just always excited about. And if I ever get my hands on it from any of the roasters that we work with, I'm like, I gotta get it.
Yeah.
Very much
That's
so.
awesome.
But yeah, that's
Really cool.
that's what I enjoy. Yeah.
Cool.
So you guys roast on a Diedrich, like we were
Mhm.
talking about before. Um, when you try your coffee alongside other roasters, what have you maybe found, or what is your guys's maybe goal in how you roast? Like, is it you're always going for like a balanced cup or like clarity or yeah, like what does that maybe look like from your point of view?
I would say balance and truly highlighting, the tasting notes that we want to highlight, after going with the producers, information and stuff like that. And then again, like Matthew is the mastermind behind all of the roasting process and like how he approaches the coffees. But yeah, we're definitely like even just from copying like last week that he was doing like some sample roast for like some Rwanda's and Ethiopian coffees. So kind of like approaching it different ways, and then okay, we copying them and deciding what's the approach that we're gonna take and how he's gonna highlight. Whether it's that fruiting is those floral notes, or if it's something that is like wash and more traditional, how we're gonna get the most out of it while creating a balance among it all.
Wonderful. I love it. And I think I might finish this on a last fun note. Of all, obviously you've had a lot of coffee from a lot of different places.
Mhm.
But do you find yourself going after either a couple different flavors in coffee that you drink, or like you said, processes, or a variety, or country? And yeah.
Um, Personally, everybody jokes about me always choosing red fruit notes in a coffee. So then even the joke is, Sadie, can we choose no red notes in a coffee? I love like high acidity. I love raspberries, cherries, all of
Mhm.
those tasting notes. I love them in coffee. And then personally, like too, lots of florals, but florals that are not so delicate. One of my competitions coffees that I always say is like one of the best coffees I ever had in my life. Is just very like floral, like or think orange blossoms, but like in your face. There's no way you don't know they are there. So I'm
Okay.
not so much into the super delicate coffees, if it makes sense.
Yes, that does. Which I feel like, personally speaking, like last year or 2 years ago, we were very into, and we're now like, I think we're trying to ride the balance of like these very exciting new processes, but also
Hmm.
like still enjoying a good wash process and just like being content with it, and also
Yep.
noticing that they can still be complex too. So yeah,
Yep.
we used to, there was certain farmers that like we would get a lot of coffee from our roasters that we worked with, and like as time went on, some of them just like almost felt too delicate and just like very hard to like extract, or like they were good at one window for 1 week or whatever. And
Yep.
so it's just been interesting like trying to get coffees that are just anyone can brew at home is
A
kind of
little bit more forgivable. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of all the questions that I had for you, Sadie. But do you have anything else that you want to add to
You kind
everything?
of froze for a second.
Oh, so sorry.
I didn't hear you. Yep.
I was I was just saying that's all the questions I had. But is there anything else you want to add or chat about?
No, I think thank you for taking the time, and I'm glad that we finally did
Yeah,
it.
no, I appreciate your patience so much. But yeah, I will be looking at in the next, it might be in 3 weeks. I keep forgetting that I'm technically like taking off like 3 or 4 days in a row, but like roughly in 2 or 3 weeks, I will have gotten back to you about like what it looks like to work with you guys next year and more.
Perfect.
So I'm
Awesome.
really excited. Thanks so much for taking the time, Zadie.
Thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And then yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
I will. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You as well.